wasting your money on supplements that aren't even improving your health or your performance. In this video, we're gonna break down a tier list of popular supplements. Let's jump in. The first one that we're starting with is a fan favorite. This is creatine. Creatine is very helpful in building strength and power, and it'll give you just a little bit of a boost that over time will help add up to increases in your volume, or again, your strength and power, that will thus allow you to train harder and make more gains over time. Creatine is also really helpful for staying a little bit more hydrated by bringing more water into the muscle cells, which is typically something that people are concerned about with looking a little bit fluffier, but that does not happen. It brings it into the muscle cells and makes those muscle cells look a little bit bigger. So if anything, you're looking a little bit more jacked. Creatine is also starting to be looked at in terms of cardiovascular health and memory or cognitive function, and is looking really promising. Plus, creatine can also be preventative for concussions if you do play a sport where you may be bonking heads or something where it's a little bit more dangerous. That being said, there's so much research on creatine. If you're taking a third-party supplement, you are really well protected. Honestly, this is a supplement that I recommend to a lot of people. It's relatively cheap, so make sure that you're taking it and your grandma's taking it. Creatine, we are putting in S tier. The next one is really what I should be saying is the fan favorite, everybody's favorite thing, caffeine. Now, caffeine has a lot of research as well, so we are very comfortable with the conclusions that we are drawing. Number one, obviously, we get an increased perception of energy, and I want to emphasize it's a perception. It's not real energy like we're getting from food, from calories, but it does make us feel really energized, and if you are sleep deprived, it can kind of combat that sleep deprivation a little bit. If you have a really long extended period of activity, could be beneficial for that, and it does improve performance. It is an ergogenic aid. It also decreases the perception of pain. So if you have a really hard lifting session, or maybe a really hard exercise session, maybe you're doing a marathon or something that's really long, can decrease that perception of pain, so you do feel a little bit better through it. It does have a pretty short mechanism of action. That 45 minutes is really where that peak is, and then after that it's going to decrease over time with a half-life of about 6 to 8 hours. Now, the best sources are coming from things like tea or coffee that do also have antioxidants in them, but most people are probably getting this from either pre-workouts or energy drinks, and those I'm a little bit concerned about because you can definitely go overboard with caffeine. Too much can give you the jitters or make you feel nervous or anxious. Plus, too much can definitely kill you if you are way over consuming it. Upwards of 1,000 milligrams in a short period of time can be very dangerous, which is something that you can do if you're taking straight caffeine anhydrous powder or in a pill form. So caffeine, it's a fan favorite. A lot of people love it. I do think there is a little bit of downside, and with the amount that I typically see people consuming, I think that downside is very real and very relevant. So caffeine, we are putting in A tier. The next one is one that typically comes in pre-workouts, but I want to address it separately because it's something that has quite a profound effect when we feel it, and that's beta-alanine. Beta-alanine is that thing that gives you the tingles. You may feel it in your face or in your arms. I personally feel it in my nose, but that is the sensation of paresthesia, and it's not harmful to you at all. But what that is doing is it is buffering acid in your body. So as we exercise, we create lactic acid. That lactic acid gives off that acid portion, which is a hydrogen ion, and that makes our muscles more acidic, which makes it harder for our body to be able to produce energy. That may contribute to fatigue. So beta-alanine is something that will buffer it. Now, when you are just exercising in the gym, or maybe you're doing cardiovascular exercise, beta-alanine may not be for that specific scenario. Whereas more so if you're playing something like soccer or basketball, where you have that intermittent activity, right? You're running very fast, and then you're taking more slow jogs in between. Those sports seem to benefit a lot more from something like beta-alanine. And because of the side effects of the tingling, you may get some GI symptoms as well if you take too much too quickly. We are putting beta-alanine in B tier. The next one is one of my personal favorites. This is something that I think can benefit almost everybody on a populational level for their actual health, and the data is there. This one is omega-3 fish oils. Omega-3s are that anti-inflammatory fat, a polyunsaturated fat that we typically get from fatty fish, specifically things like salmon and mackerel, and are really hard to consume in amounts that are really benefiting us. Now, if you live in a coastal area where you are consuming a lot of these, you may be a lot better off, but for most of us, we probably need to be supplementing with an omega-3 to really ensure that we're getting the most out of our health. These things can not only reduce inflammation, but they're really good for heart health, for brain health. If you have gotten a blood test and you see high serum triglycerides or high LDL cholesterol, omega-3s can also help in those situations as well. We are putting omegas into the S tier. The next one is the supplement that I recommend the most, and that's because a lot of people are sleeping really poorly these days, whether that's from stress, anxiety, or just poor management around utilizing our electronic devices and our time. This one is magnesium. Magnesium is not only there for sleep, it's also involved in nerve function, muscle function, mood. There's a lot of things that it does in your body, but sleep is the number one reason I'm recommending this, especially because magnesium, although it is a mineral we are already consuming from food, we get it from things like nuts and seeds and dark leafy greens, we really do not get enough of it day in and day out. Maybe some days we get enough, but most days we're not. And that's why I'm recommending this to so many people, especially when they come to me with some underlying sleep problems that we need to correct if we want to maximize their performance, if we want to improve their testosterone. Then magnesium, because it is so cheap, it is affordable, you can, as long as you get a third-party tested product, you're probably getting something that is really beneficial for you. We are going to put magnesium into the S tier. Now our S tier is getting a little full, so let's look at some other supplements. The first one is gonna be fat burners. Now, fat burners are really a combination of a couple different things. Most fat burners have two main ingredients. Number one is caffeine. We said we like caffeine, so shouldn't we like fat burners? Well, if we're talking about the purpose of fat burning, caffeine is not really creating that much of a significant or impressionable effect when we talk about fat burning. However, when you take a fat burner, that company wants you to feel like you're getting something out of it. And when we're feeling energized, we're feeling good because of that caffeine, then we are assuming that that fat burner is actually doing something for us that we really want. So it's got caffeine, and the other component it typically has is capsaicin. Capsaicin is the spicy part of spicy foods. We have those taste receptors for that spicy, not only in our mouth, but all the way through our GI system, all the way down to our rectum. That being said, when we take a fat burner that has a good amount of capsaicin in it, we feel warm, we feel hot, and that makes us feel like we are burning something, like we're burning fat. The truth is, the efficacy for fat burners is quite low. There's not much data to support that they actually work, and in the instances that they are really working, you would really be dialed in. You would be somebody like a really competitive bodybuilder that needs to really get maybe 0.1, 0.2% body fat off, and it's really beneficial. For most people, it's not enough of an effect to spend your money on it. Your focus, your motivation, and your money is better spent somewhere else. We are putting fat burners in the F category. Next, we have detox supplements. A lot of people take these because maybe they're feeling achy, maybe they're not eating well, they're not taking care of themselves. So what they do is they go and they take a detox supplement to kind of get things kickstarted. Now, detox supplements have a very wide range of what's actually in them, and most of them really have two mechanisms of action. They either make you have a bowel movement or they make you urinate. These are two pathways in our body that are meant to get rid of toxins, and they can be beneficial. However, it's probably better to just support your body's natural way of doing those mechanisms, meaning let's make sure we have good bowel movements through proper amount of fiber intake, fluids, and an adequate amount of movement. Let's make sure that we're urinating by drinking enough water. We don't need to take something additional to do that when our liver is that piece of our body that is already detoxing our bloodstream. Now, the downside of these detox supplements is that the research has shown some of them may actually harm your liver, which makes no sense. We're trying to clean our body out, and we are instead hurting the one organ that is literally there to detox, to me, it doesn't make sense. They tend to also be expensive. In that instance, we are putting detoxes in F tier. The next one is really actually just an amino acid, and that's glutamine. Glutamine is an amino acid that has become very popular for a couple of reasons, for immune health and for gut health. Glutamine is really involved in these two places in our body, and there is some use cases where extra glutamine may be beneficial. The problem with a glutamine supplement is that glutamine is one of the most available amino acids that we get from food. Meaning, if we eat just some high quality protein, some meat, some dairy, some soy products, we are probably getting more than enough glutamine in our day, and supplementing it may not really actually be doing anything additional. That being said, there are some use cases where it could be nice. So we're gonna take glutamine and we're gonna put it in the D tier. The next one is probably the most widely used supplement when people want to be achieving optimal health, and that's multivitamins. Multivitamins are a combination of a bunch of different vitamins and typically a bunch of different minerals. You can typically get these separate, but most of these products are coming together. These are usually just used as an insurance policy so that somebody's making sure that they're getting enough vitamins and minerals in the day to stay healthy. The problem I have with multivitamins is that they are typically a lot of unbioavailable or poorly bioavailable forms. That means that they're forms that our body just can't absorb very easily. So that means they're just kind of going through our digestive system and being excreted as additional vitamins and minerals in our feces. And we're not really actually getting them and doing anything beneficial. The second thing is that these are usually coming in such high amounts that they're competing with each other. Sometimes taking high doses of different vitamins and minerals may block the absorption of others. And if that's something that you really need and it's getting blocked, then that's not really benefiting us at all. If you are eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, fats, you are probably getting most of the vitamins and minerals that you need anyway. And in that case, I'd rather just supplement with the things that you're missing out on. So because multivitamins don't have that much of a downside, and because they tend to be relatively affordable, we're gonna put multivitamins in the B tier. Next, we have green powders, and I wanted to talk about these back to back because green powders are very similar to multivitamins in the sense that they are providing a wide variety of vitamins and minerals. These also have a little bit of an additional benefit, providing a little bit of either prebiotics or probiotics depending on how they're formulated. The downside with these green powders is a lot of them have been found to have heavy metals in them, and heavy metals are something that can be toxic to us and have a lot of adverse effects that we don't really want. The second thing is a lot of these greens powders almost give people an excuse that they feel like they don't need to consume a wide variety of fruits and vegetables because they're already taking their greens powders, or the people who take them don't really want to eat vegetables, so they take this instead. And that is not the exact same thing. Getting them from fruits and vegetables tends to be a lot more beneficial than just taking a greens powders. And these greens powders are so expensive. And when we look at that and we look at the excuses that come along with them, I'm gonna put greens powders in the C tier. Next, we have testosterone boosters. These are being taken so that our testosterone levels can increase, and I just made a video on how to support our testosterone levels naturally, so check that out after this video. But testosterone boosters tend to be a bunch of different herbs or botanicals that may have some efficacy, or at least purported efficacy, to raise your testosterone. The problem with testosterone boosters is a couple different things. Number one, they tend to not be third-party tested, meaning what's in them may not be what's really in them. Some of these have already been found to have actual testosterone in them, so you may be thinking that you're just getting some kind of herb or something that boosts your testosterone when really you're getting actual testosterone. That being said, the ones that don't have that exogenous testosterone or have a lot of these botanicals or herbs that aren't really proven is they just don't work. Testosterone boosters also tend to be really, really expensive. So we're looking at expensive, they don't tend to work, or they tend to be contaminated. Testosterone boosters are going into the F tier. Next, we have a combination of two things. Here I have a picture of EAAs, or essential amino acids, and we're going to combine this with BCAAs, or branched chain amino acids, because although they're slightly different, essential amino acids have a little bit wider profile of amino acids. They tend to follow the same recommendations. Both, again, are sets of amino acids, which are just the building blocks of protein. Some people take these because they feel they improve recovery, improve muscle building. But because they are amino acids, we are already getting these if we are consuming adequate protein. That being said, you're paying extra money for EAAs, BCAAs, so you might as well just spend that money on eating more protein if that's what you need. If you're eating adequate protein, the research is saying that EAAs or BCAAs may not be benefiting you any more than what you're already doing. If you want to use it to flavor water or something, I could see that being okay, but it's much cheaper to just buy something like Crystal Light or something that just flavors your water anyways and drink that rather than drinking the BCAAs or EAAs. We're putting EAAs into the D category because although they're not very beneficial, they're not probably hurting you either. Next is one of the most asked supplements that I get questioned about, and that is pre-workout. Pre-workout is a huge category, and in this video, I cannot go into the depths about pre-workout. I do have a video on my channel about my favorite pre-workout, so go check that out after this video if you're interested in pre-workout specifically. Pre-workout is really a mix of things that are supposed to improve your performance within a workout. The problem with pre-workouts is typically they are not clinically dosed, meaning the dosing in them is not effective in the amounts that is in there. And supplement companies do this to save money without you as the consumer really knowing what the right amount is. There are some, like my favorite one, that are what we call clinically dosed, right? They have the amount in them that the research has proven is effective. These also don't always need to be taken before you work out. BetaAlanine is a great example. You don't need to take BetaAlanine right before you work out for it to be effective. It works more like creatine, where as long as you just take it every single day, then you kind of get this buildup and this benefit that just lasts because of saturation. It has other things like caffeine, where caffeine does have a timeline of when you're getting the most benefit from that supplement. So pre-workout being such a wide variety, some of them tending to have too much caffeine in them, some of them being underdosed. Pre-workout is a really hard one to put on this list, and I don't want you to think about this being this brand specifically, but we're gonna put pre-workouts in general in the C tier. Next, we're moving on to electrolytes. Electrolytes are just minerals that we sweat out and are really used in our nervous system. But again, we sweat them out, so we tend to lose a lot of them. Electrolytes are beneficial for keeping us hydrated and keeping that osmotic activity, meaning it holds water into the places that we want it inside of our cells so we can stay hydrated. There are two electrolytes that we lose more than any others when we sweat, and that is sodium and chloride. If you know anything about chemistry, you know that that is what makes up table salt. And table salt can be a great electrolyte. You just add it to your food. It's very cheap, it's very effective, and you can pretty much get everything you need. A lot of these electrolyte supplements have other electrolytes in them, for example, magnesium or potassium, but we don't sweat a whole lot of these out. So if you are making sure that you're either supplementing or getting these elsewhere, you may not need to buy this expensive product in order to get your electrolytes in. Eat some salt and get the other ones from either supplementation or by eating a wide variety of foods, and you're probably gonna be okay. Because these tend to be expensive and because you can get them from other things, but they do have some use cases, for example, really long or really intense activity, we're gonna put electrolytes into the C tier. Next, we're talking about protein powder. Protein powder is another one of the most popular supplements in terms of how often and how much people are taking. Protein powder is simply protein, right? And a lot of proteins are whey protein. Whey protein is made out of milk. So it's a very high quality protein that we're getting, and whey protein specifically is a very quick digesting protein. Now, you don't necessarily need protein right after you work out. It might be more beneficial to get it in quickly, but you could also just go and have a meal. It can be beneficial though in certain instances. For example, if you want to mix it into other foods to increase the protein quantity, or if you want to use it as more of a convenience item where you can't really eat or you don't have the time to eat within a reasonable amount of time, so you utilize protein, I think that can make it worthwhile to have. So we're gonna take protein and we're gonna put it in the B tier. Next, we have something that is really emerging in the research and is something that I think is gonna be maybe the forefront of nutrition as we go into the next 5 to 10 years, and that's probiotics. Now, probiotics right now, like I said, we don't have a lot of research showing how to perfectly use them. And a lot of people may be taking these that may get actual adverse effects. Everybody's microbiome, the bacteria in their gut are a little bit different. So everybody may need a slightly different probiotic for whatever the issue is that they're dealing with. Probiotics can be really beneficial for things like GI distress, for example, flatulence, bloating, constipation, diarrhea, or if you maybe just generally have stomach issues. If you also are getting antibiotics, taking probiotics afterwards could be really nice to reestablish a really healthy microbiome after you've just wiped out essentially the entire colony. Again, like I said, everybody's a little bit different, so finding that probiotic that might be right for you can be difficult, and probiotics can be pretty expensive. Let's say you have to take 3 or 4 different probiotics to find something that you go well with. That could get really expensive. So because probiotics are moving in the right direction, we're starting to get a lot of good information on them. They are looking to be better and better for a wide variety of different things, because the gut microbiome is so important. But because we're still getting there and it may be expensive, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put probiotics in the C tier. The next one we're discussing is the sunshine vitamin, because we get it mostly from the sun hitting our skin and our body synthesizing it. And this is vitamin D. Vitamin D is involved in a lot in our body in terms of nerve function, muscle function, mood, even our sleep. Vitamin D is almost more like a hormone than it is like a vitamin. And it's something that is pretty hard to get if we're not getting enough sunlight. We can get it from some foods, especially things that are fortified, but we're not typically eating a whole lot of it unless we're really targeting it or eating a lot of dairy products. Vitamin D is very easy to supplement because it's so cheap. It's very effective. A lot of people could benefit from taking it. We're gonna put vitamin D in A tier. The last one is one of those things that's really emerging the last couple of years, and this is ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an herb that has been used mostly to reduce stress, and it actually is pretty effective for those who do have high cortisol. Now, it's not gonna work for everybody, but I have had some people who have reported some really profound effects and have really enjoyed it day to day. The other thing that it is touted for is improving testosterone, and that being said, it does have some efficacy there because cortisol and testosterone compete for the same resources. So if you have really high cortisol, you may be losing out on some testosterone. Ashwagandha may help that conversion by reducing your cortisol and allowing your testosterone to flourish a little bit more. Again, it's not going to work for everybody, but I've seen some really good effects. This may be something you try out, see how it works for you. That being said, it is also on the pricier side for most supplements to get an effective dose. So ashwagandha, I like it in some use cases. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's for everybody. So ashwagandha, we're gonna put into the B tier. Now I wanna hear from you guys. What supplement would you change where it is ranked on this list? And if you are interested in improving your testosterone, then check out this video that I made about maximizing your natural testosterone production utilizing nutrition techniques. And I'll see you in the next one.